力のすべてを取り戻したスクナならちょっとしんどいかな。勝つさ。
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now.
Now I know you're wondering, hold on, what the fuck? How is this cap? It's basically why you clicked on this video anyways. Hello YouTube, I am Biscord and today we'll be discussing exactly why Gojo lied about being able to defeat Sukuna. Now, let me just quickly backtrack my statement and say Gojo Satoru didn't exactly lie. More of the case of he assumed incorrectly, and we'll be covering that as much in depth as possible while trying to maintain your attention span. Hopefully that works, but if by the end of the video you still disagree, I am open to discussion in the comment section, but hopefully I will have covered everything in this video. So, people already start off along the lines of, how the fuck could you say Gojo would lose? Did you not see that beatdown that happened in episode 2? Still probably one of my favorites in that anime, but I have to say, objection. At that time, Sukuna was fighting Gojo with only one finger's worth of strength. Now, this doesn't really excuse Gojo being on top too much, because despite this, Sukuna still wasn't able to keep up with Gojo, and his technique really showed. Sukuna gets stronger in Jujutsu Sorcerer and in physical strength with more fingers that he consumes. So, hopefully, if and hopefully when they face off, this won't be the same case as it was before. From what we have seen in the short battle is that both of them entered the battle unaware of each other's techniques and skills and all of that stuff, and Gojo had the upper hand in combat technique, which solidifies Gojo's statement of I am the strongest, which actually brings me on to my first point in this video. These characters' titles. Now, the titles itself doesn't really hold much value in a verse battle because it's just the strongest versus the king of curses. This is practically meaningless, but what had me on edge is a few weeks ago when I was rereading a few manga panels of Jujutsu Kaisen while I was making Gojo and Sukuna wallpapers for my phone. I came across this interesting quote which was stuck at the back of my head ever since Gojo uttered these words: "Throughout the heavens and the earth, I alone am the honored one." And this resonated with me at the back of my head for weeks on end. Now, this specific quote comes from the Buddhist religion, which was uttered the day Buddha was born. He took 7 steps from his mother and then said this specific phrase while pointing at the heavens and the earth. Now, what does that have to do with the situation? While backtracking, looking for pictures for Sukuna to make his wallpaper, I found out that this exact same phrase was used for Sukuna back in chapter 30. Now, the creator of Jujutsu Kaisen, who I call GG because that's basically how his name looks, had mentioned that the phrase itself has various connotations, but he likes using it arrogantly. And this would honestly make sense in Gojo's situation, seeing that it's kind of how his personality is like, and it's rightfully so, because, quote-unquote, when Satoru Gojo was born, the balance of the world was altered. He is a special breed. Man was completely built different, okay? And it's kind of why he's one of my favorite characters in anime in general. Now, who else is built different? Sukuna, obviously, because man literally has 4 arms. Now, the difference between Ryomen Sukuna and Gojo Satoru in the case of this specific phrase is that Gojo said it to himself as a burst of confidence, while this phrase was used on Sukuna in the third person. Now, I double back to make sure that this wasn't a case of someone saying it in referring to Sukuna, and I just wanted to make sure that it was correct. Now, in the context of the fight when this was said, it is implied that this phrase was used on Sukuna by the creator himself. Gigi stated that Sukuna alone is the honored one. Now, that means this is a case of self-proclaimed fallacy versus the creator, if you understand what I mean. Now, come on, these receipts do not lie. This means it may be secretly hinted that Sukuna alone would stand on top, especially against someone like Gojo. Now, number 2, Sukuna's unpredictability is a huge advantage, especially against someone as strong as Gojo Satoru. Now, if Sukuna is able to see life through Yuji Itadori's eyes, which is definitely the case, Sukuna has had first-hand experience in the presence of Gojo Satoru, meaning Sukuna has seen Gojo perform his infinite void domain expansion, as well as Gojo's strongest attack, the imaginary technique, purple. Now, knowledge of the enemy is the first step to victory. You know the whole saying, know thy enemy. And Sukuna definitely has said knowledge, with the only thing that Sukuna is unaware of in terms of Gojo's abilities is Gojo's Infinity Protection Shield, which Gojo plans to capitalize on. We all know this. It's definitely going to happen in that way. That's how the fight's going to begin. Now, I will mention later on in the video how Sukuna is going to be able to actually counter that ability. Now, Gojo is at a loss of knowledge against Sukuna unless Jujutsu Tech, like that school that they have, has archives on the golden age of Jujutsu Sorcery, which must have, somehow, it must have Sukuna's archives on how he was defeated and what techniques he used before he was defeated. If this is not the case, Gojo does not have any knowledge as to what Sukuna can do. He has not seen any ability that Sukuna has demonstrated in fight except for that cursed energy punch that he did in their first battle. And I am very sure, I'm pretty damn sure that nobody in Jujutsu Tech has reported to Gojo exactly what Sukuna's abilities are, because every single time Sukuna has made an appearance against somebody from Jujutsu Tech, he has only used brute strength against those opponents. Honestly speaking, this definitely feels like, this is just a feeling, but this definitely feels like this was planted by the creator of Jujutsu Kaisen just to put Gojo at a disadvantage, maybe to make the fight fair or to make sure that Gojo loses. Now, on to number 3, which is the ability matchups. Now, while not much is known about Ryomen Sukuna and his techniques, what we do know is that he has Dismantle and Cleave, which are 2 powerful slash attacks designed to take opponents down as quickly as possible. He also has this ability to conjure up flames, similar to Jogo as well as his domain expansion. Now, this is where Gojo fans will bring up the battle of domains, which is something I brought up at first when I thought about the whole battle. This into question, Gojo's Limitless Void has an edge in the fight. While this is true, it is limited by range, and this is exactly how Sukuna will beat Gojo Satoru. Since Sukuna has the knowledge advantage, after witnessing techniques through Yuji's eyes and monitoring the effects it has on its victims, he knows that he has to keep his distance from Gojo. To Sukuna's advantage, he has a much larger range of a domain expansion, with this range being 200 meters. Now, I know you may wonder, that won't deal shit damage against Gojo since Gojo still has that infinity barrier. No, that's wrong! And that's where I will bring up the rules of domain expansion. Remember, these receipts do not lie. Now, remember that domain expansions have a 100% hit rate, 100%, and this definitely can be counted, as we have seen before in the series. But what makes Sukuna special is the lack of indication, as well as its range, as well as what exactly it is. Now, Gojo's Infinity, for those who do not know, is actually using pseudo-mathematic paradox called Zeno's paradox. In simplistic terms, Gojo is able to manipulate space, which actually allows him to warp around, which is quite cool actually if you think about it. Now, that's already a powerful ability on its own. If you are a Naruto fan, think of Gojo's red ability as the almighty push, think of his blue ability as the universal pull, its blue on maximum output as planetary devastation, and if you are a Dragon Ball fan, think of his purple as Hakai, just with a much larger range. And remember, Hakai is able to just delete or erase things from existence. Now, in terms of Sukuna's cleave and its lack of indication, well, his domain expansion, it not only has a maximum radius of 200 meters, it cuts everything inside it, like everything! It uses Dismantle on inanimate objects to cut it up, and then it uses Cleave on objects, and the strength of that cleave is dependent on the amount of cursed energy that target has. Not only that, it does not create a physical bubble domain, which adds on to its lack of indication. So I could literally be hiding 200 meters away from Gojo, use that attack, he won't see that he's in the attack, and then you just get hit by it. Now, this is kind of like, it's open spaced, okay? It's an open space domain expansion, which is so unique. only Sukuna can do it, and there has been no sign in the series that anybody else in the history of Jujutsu Sorcery has been able to do this. Now, if you want to think of it as an artist painting without a canvas, just painting on mid-air. That's how the technique works. This technique was so uniquely made, it was as if the creator just made it to specifically breach Gojo's infinity barrier, as this technique doesn't actually cut, when it cuts its target, it doesn't move to the target, it's on the target, meaning the cuts would be on Gojo and not moving towards him, thus bypassing the functionalities of that infinity barrier that he has going on. Now, number 4 is their healing factors. Now, Sukuna and Gojo both are able to use reverse curse techniques, which practically allows them to heal themselves. But as Sukuna stated, and yes, somebody might hit me up in the comment section and be like, oh, you're using a fallacy, but it's practically fact from what we've seen in the series. What Sukuna stated is that cursed spirits are able to do this far more easier than humans, and if Gojo intends to use purple like he did against Toji Fushiguro, Sukuna can and will survive, because he has been shown in the series to survive without vital organs as well as heal all wounds, especially at the speed that he does. Now, Gojo's healing factor is unknown, as it's only dealt with stab wounds and hasn't dealt with anything like complete amputations. So, well, as far as we've seen so far in the series as we are right now, Sukuna will be able to survive Gojo's purple if it doesn't hit the whole body. If it does, well, then this whole video is practically redundant, and it basically is what it is. You just wasted your time watching this video. But I really don't think that will be the case. Now, we're basically waiting for the ability to be shown in the anime, therefore, once we see it in the anime, we can determine its travel speed. And once we've determined its travel speed, then we can start guessing if Sukuna would be able to jump out of the way, dodge it and whatnot. But from what we've seen in the manga panels, it moves pretty damn fast. So again, we'll just have to see. Now, this is the final point, and this is basically a what if scenario which was playing on the idea made on the video that was made by Anime Balls Deep. I will probably leave the link in the description, but that video had me wondering, if Sukuna's fingers are strong enough to resist Gojo's attacks, the body of Ryomen Sukuna that's encased in its grave wax should apply by the same logic. And if Anime Balls Deep is correct, and Sukuna somehow managed to get his body back, it would be real problematic for Gojo. But that does bring into question, this is just a weird theory or a weird question, or probably like a loophole. Why didn't Jujutsu Tech just gather all of Sukuna's fingers, then have Gojo use the imaginary technique purple on them, essentially just deleting them from existence? That's a big brain play, which they just don't do. But anyways, that's the end of this video. As always, do like and do subscribe if you do like what you just saw. Also, just subscribe if you like Jujutsu content, as I will be covering it more often on this channel. Like I said, hopefully I've covered everything. Feel free to discuss in the comment section. Just saying, this video was pretty hard to make because no one's throat is deeper for Gojo's cock than mine. And I say that with full homo. My obsession with the man is huge, and it hurts to think that the strongest Jujutsu Sorcerer would lose. But I have to face the information. That's just how it is. The receipts do not lie. But let's see what this series has in store for us. This has been Biscord signing out. Bye.
この世界の片隅で今を生きる僕